Alvaro Bautista with a new personal best there, 140.111.
Bautista losing a lot of time in that final sector as well. He'd been, 0.2 of a second off at the halfway stage of the lap, and then in that final sector looked like he lost about 0.3.
Keep in mind that that's compared to Rinaldi, who made up a whole chunk of time just in the final sector, because he was down on Petrucci's fastest time going into sector 4 and makes up a lot through there.
Yeah, even then though, still for Alvaro Bautista though, he's down there in 11th fastest right now as well, so just waiting to see whether or not he's able to make that step as well.
Rinaldi on his latest lap, 10th of a second up on his own previous personal best after 3 completed sectors. So this is probably the best we've seen from Rinaldi this season, frankly. And what could be his final weekend in this class at very least, if not in the WorldSBK paddock, as the rumour mill suggests he will be moving into Supersport next season. Let's see what Rinaldi does through this final sector then. Already where he made plenty of lap time a lap ago to set that fastest time, 139.591. Rinaldi now drives towards the line. And it is a slower time, but only 1/10 of a second away from his previous best, a 139.591, that fastest time for Rinaldi. Petrucci 0.2 of a second behind him, Bulliger, then Razgatlioglu Ray, all within 0.3 of a second.
You can see Kyle Wright just in front of Rinaldi on the racetrack as well, the number 33, the BSB champion for this season. And speaking to Kyle about how they planned this weekend, he said that he had a lot of support from the Paddock Promethean team as well, and Andrew Pitt came down to talk to the team and give them some insight about tyre allocation and the choices to use this weekend as well. So they're leaning on all the support that they're able to get this week.
Yes, important, of course, for relative newcomers. Right at the moment sitting 25th, Bridewell 26th. Luca Bernardi again finding it a tough time in his WorldSBK return, as we watch Tommy Bridewell here on for a new personal best. Just making his way now through the final sector, 142.662, his best time of this afternoon so far. A few tenths of a second down on what he was able to do earlier on. This does look like being an improved lap, and it is indeed. 2.6 down now on P1 for Tommy Bridewell.
Yeah, it just looks even aggressive on the shift there for him as well, and for Bridewell, the bike moving around underneath him everywhere, and not an easy bike to ride around here, it looks like, for Tommy Bridewell.
Nagashima, for the record, second up the road, 1.679 down on P1, and just on the tail of the group of the regulars in the championship, and you'd hope for him that he'll gradually improve as the weekend goes on.
Yeah, exactly, that has to be the goal for all the riders coming in for this weekend, even as far back as Luca Bernardi back in 27, just to be able to make those steps, make that progress. Kyle Wright comes across the line, 2 seconds off the pace. He's running a full WorldSBK spec electronics package this weekend, so they've basically had to throw in the maps that everyone else is using and see whether or not they're going to be able to make them work for themselves as well. But a BSB spec engine, so not quite as powerful as what you have from the WorldSBK teams on the regular, but for Kyle at least able to use it to be able to get some information here in this session, and then see if they're able to make a step for tomorrow. The good thing for him is with that engine, you don't need the outright power here in Jerez like you would if he was coming in somewhere like Portimao.
Certainly a lot to get to grips with over the course of Friday, but that's exactly the point, isn't it, of these free practice sessions, as we just take a brief look there at the second stint for Toprak Razgatlioglu, a couple of times there in the 1:39s.
Yeah, the 39s, and that's going to get the job done around Jerez if you're able to put in enough of those as well, even all the way down to Garrett Girl up in 9th position on the timesheet for this session, all in the 1:39s. Sam Lowes with a 40.0 then in 10th position as well, just in front of Bautista.
Michael Ruben Rinaldi still out there, still running decent pace, only a few tenths of a second down on this latest lap. 139.591 is the fastest time, so if he's sticking out there and if he's on that SCQ tyre, then that means that Rinaldi is to some extent working out whether that could work in the Superpole race perhaps as well.
Yeah, the sticker, the purple sticker on his tyres on the left hand side, so we just can't quite see it. We're just starting to get a glimpse of it there in the corner of the shot, but Rinaldi out there on the Q tyre, able to put in consistent times, and that's going to give him a lot of confidence going into tomorrow morning Superpole session.
Final 30 seconds of the session. Toprak Razgatlioglu making his way out again, much as he did earlier on today.
Yeah, and the reason Toprak's gone out with only 20 seconds left in the session is he just wants to be able to do a practice start at the end of it.
Yeah, did exactly the same earlier on in FP1, just came out with moments to spare to do his practice start, along with the other riders who complete the session and take the checkered flag. Doesn't look like anyone's improving on these last laps around. Jonathan Ray is not too far adrift of the fastest time, P5 for him, and that's where he remains, again losing a bit of ground in that final sector this time to Michael van der Mark. But that's some good consistency for Jonathan Ray as well this afternoon.
Yeah, it looked like Johnny might have been out there on that Q tyre as well. So for Ray on the number 65 machine, able to come in at the end of this session and get some good information with a fresh tyre, and hopefully for Johnny give himself that bit of confidence and the boost that he needs going into the Super Pole session, because he knows the importance of putting that bike up on the front 2 rows of the grid. If he can do that, he can be competitive. If he has to come from the 4th, 5th row of the grid, we've seen unfortunately all the way through this season that he just can't grab that bike by the scruff of the neck and make the progress that you need to make.
Nicolo Bulliger less than a 10th down after 3 completed sectors, and it's a new personal best as well. Good job in the final sector. Fastest time of the day, in fact, for Nicolo Bulliger. Faster than he went to top the timesheets in FP1. Not enough to get on terms with Michael Ruben Rinaldi, who will be your fastest this afternoon by 1.5 tenths of a second over Nicolo Bulliger. Third fastest for Danilo Petrucci, then Razgatlioglu, Ray, van der Mark, Iannone, Bassane, Gerloff and Sam Lowes to complete your top 10. So not much of a change in terms of the rankings between this morning and this afternoon, with Toprak, Razgatlioglu the only rider, along with Lekwona, Redding and Urkel, unable to improve their time. So Razgatlioglu, the only front-running rider who didn't go out there to set a time attack and improve on his previous best, but right in touch still with Nicolo Bulliger, just over a 10th of a second between the two of them.
Yeah, nice and close there at the front of the field. 3 Ducatis in the top 3 positions, and then 2 BMWs in the top 6 as well. So good performance by Van der Mark to put himself up there pretty close to his teammate Razgatlioglu, and Jonathan Ray, the odd man out in that top 6 as well on the Yamaha. But for Ducati, once again we're able to see that bike works well with all the different tyre combinations, and that's the beauty of having the Ducati V4 out there, is that for Rinaldi, we know it's fast on the Q tyre. We saw Bulliger out there on the 820, the new development tyre from Pirelli. We saw Petrucci out there on the standard tyre as well. So I think we've been able to see all the different mixes of tyre combinations out there for Ducati, and all of them able to be competitive, and you can see that as well with Iannone, Sam Lowes up inside the top 10. Bautista, the odd man out there, half a second off the pace, but certainly for all the laps he's been able to do, 22 in this session and in around 20 or 21 this morning as well. He's got a lot of good information.
Yes, and always, good signs from Ducati here in Jerez, and good start to the weekend for them in FP2. Toprak stopping them from taking 1, 2, 3 on the combined times, courtesy of his fastest time from earlier on today. But important weekend this for Ducati, one where they can wrap up the manufacturers and teams championships.